Easy. It's well, let me explain a little about myself. I'm actually I actually go to Roger Williams in Providence campus. I have a degree in counseling. I'm working on recertifying my degree down here, but I have to take certain classes, so I'm back in school to take on case management, so on and so forth, and because I have my degree in Massachusetts. But the reason that I got into this, excuse me, the reason that I got into this field is because, you don't mind if I get comfortable, right?
Keep our boundaries.
I just want to be professional. No, the reason that I got into this field is because for most of my life, I've been addicted to one kind of drug or another. Most of my life, I've been homeless. A great portion of my life, I've been locked up, either in prison, in some type of psychiatric facility, been in programs, been in, you name it, hospitals, institutions, everything that you can think of is where I've been. And when I finally started getting clean and sober, I realized that there were a lot of people who didn't understand me. A lot of people who didn't understand who I was, what I had been through, the stuff I had been through. When I was 11 years old, well, even before that, when I was 6 years old, I was sexually molested by a female who was babysitting me. And she was doing things to me, what men and women do. When I was 6 years old, you know. At 14 years old, I was raped by a bunch of people in Hollywood, California. I first experienced drugs and alcohol when I was 11. And that was the beginning of my run. It started because of the fact that I came from a displaced home. I was in love with my father. My father was my hero. He was everything to me. I didn't know that he wasn't my dad at the time. And when he left my mother, he stopped his relationship with me and left me stuck without a hero, without a role model. So I grew up with a lot of dysfunction going on in my house. My mother wasn't the type of person to sit still. We moved from Rhode Island to California, and I've lived in every part of California you can think of because she didn't know how to sit still to raise a family. And so I didn't know what it was like to have a normal life, to have friends. Because every time I got close to people, we moved. And then when I get close to people again, we move again. So there was all this dysfunction that was going on in my life that started affecting me as I started growing older. I never knew what it was like to be stable. I never knew what it was like to have a home, to be in a decent family setting. So there was a lot of this going on that built up to the point where I was. That started, it started giving me mental health issues that started arising from it because I started feeling insecure. I started getting depressed. I started feeling a lot of anxiety. I started going through a lot of changes. I started fighting back, retaliating. I hated my mother. I hated my life. I hated everything I was doing. At 14 years old, my mother said, you know what, you have to go because I want to be with this man. So I was left to go to the streets on my own devices, and I was raised by pimps and prostitutes. So this is another thing that happened in my life for a number of years where pimps were teaching me how to be a pimp and prostitutes were teaching me how to be a man. Because when the pimps would go away at night and do their thing with wherever their families or whatever I would be in the hotel room with the prostitutes. And they were teaching me how to treat a lady. They were teaching me how to be a man. They were teaching me how to be kind, respectful, and all the things that a woman expects a man to be. They would teach me, don't ever grow up and be like this. And you know what I'm saying? So I kind of got the best of the worst and the worst of the best. And that carried me through my life. The two things that I tried to do right, one was Job Corps and the other one was the Navy, and I managed to screw them up because I was always drunk and I was always partying because I didn't want to be who I was. I wanted to be something else. I wanted to be anybody else. I wanted to be you. I wanted to be you. I wanted to be him. It didn't matter. Just didn't want to be me because then I had to feel the pain and all the things that were going on in my life being me. So I tried to mask it with drugs and alcohol. When I got kicked out of the Navy, I started getting into hard narcotics, crystal meth, cocaine, heroin, all these things came into play in my life. And I lived in San Francisco for a number of years, and I went through, I guess you want to call it an identity crisis. Because of the fact that I had been raped and because of the fact that I had been molested, I didn't know if I wanted to be with men or if I wanted to be with women. And so I had to experiment. I didn't have to, but I did. I experimented with both sides. Now, it took me a long time to be able to say that in front of people, that I dealt sexually with men and I dealt sexually with women at the same time. But you know what? It's a part of my life. It's a part of my story. It's a part of who I am because I didn't know who I was. You have to remember, all the things that built up from the time I was young and all the negatives were affecting me as I came into adulthood at 21, 22, 23 years old. So I had a serious dislike for who I was in my life. I hated myself, bottom line. I hated myself. So I got high to mask who it was. I had sex with anybody I could to mask who it was. I did all kind of crazy things with I could go on and on and on about the stuff that I did. It's neither here nor there. The bottom line is I did things like that. Okay? When I got into my late 20s, crack cocaine came into play. And I living in Los Angeles, that was the drug. And that's what I did. And I started wilding. That was the worst thing that could ever happen to me was crack cocaine. Because now not only was I a hustler, not only was I a petty criminal, but it turned me into a murderer. It turned me into a violent human being that did anything possible to get that drug, because that's what that drug did to me. It ended me up in prison for, out of the last 30 years of my life, I probably spent 20 of them in prison because of crack cocaine, because of getting high, because I couldn't stop. I had what they call, and I know you guys are familiar with, addictive personality. Okay? If you gave it to me and I liked it, I wanted more of it. And there was nothing you were going to do to stop me to get it. So it ended up, just in and out of prison, in and out of prison, in and out of prison for over 30 years. A few years ago, during this whole time, I was getting little bits and pieces of recovery, but it wasn't really recovery. It was just me trying to find a place to stay. I would go into a program because it was snowing, and I needed a place to stay. I would go into a program because it was cold, or raining, or because I didn't have nowhere to eat. And, somebody would say, hey, man, I would go to, like, the Salvation Army, and they say, why don't you come on into the program instead of just sitting up here eating beans and rice? You know what? I hate beans and rice. Believe me, I ate beans and rice for months. You show me some beans and some rice, we don't have a problem. But it just got to the point where I said, you know what, let me go in. So I go into the program for 4 or 5 months. I do my thing. It was great. They loved me because I was doing all the right things. It's not like I'm not capable of doing the right things. I'm very capable of doing it. But it's just that there's a thing that hits me inside here in my id, in my cerebral cortex, that tells me, you know what? It's time to go. And when that bell rings, there's nothing back then that could stop me from walking out that door and going to do what I had to do. If it was a girl, if it was money, if it was anger, if I didn't like you, if you kicked my cat, it didn't matter. Didn't matter what it was. Any excuse would do at that time. And it's the craziest thing because when that type of stuff happens, I didn't think. There's no thinking to this process. There's no rhyme or reason. You can't figure it out. I'm telling you, it's nothing. There's no formula that happens that makes an addict go out and do what we do. It just happens. And it's sad because there's nobody that can figure it out. And this is one of the reasons I decided to get off into this because, it's like, and I'm not, believe me, I'm glad you guys are doing what you're doing, okay? And I'm really proud of you for doing what you're doing. But there's nobody that can understand an addict like an addict. You guys will never understand what it's like to be me. I can sit here all day long and try to explain it to you, try to break it down to you, try to give you all the ins and outs and this and that and this and this that and this and this happened and that happened, and all you're gonna do is sit there with your hand and go, what? Huh? Well, why didn't you just do this? I did that several times, but it didn't work. Well, why don't we try this? I did that several times. It doesn't work. Well, what is it? I don't know. If you figure it out, you tell me. You're the therapist. And that's what's going to be said to you a lot of times. That's what's going to be said to you a lot of times. Look, man, I'm coming to you for help. What the heck you doing, man? Didn't you go to school for this crap? You know? And I'm telling you, it's going to be frustrating. You know, I just want to break this down for a minute. I just want to take a break from that. And I want to speak to you about this, okay? What you guys are about to embark upon is no easy journey. I'm going to tell you, it's not, okay? I've been in and out of this field for over 15 years. I've seen every permeation of human being, from rapists all the way to women who kill their kids, okay? And it's hard. It's hard. I worked as a counselor for the Salvation Army in Springfield, Massachusetts for 6 years. When I worked for them, all the men that came through there I had to deal with. And I'm talking about in 6 years, a couple of thousand people, okay? Now, normally you have your normal guys that come through, they're alcoholics, they're addicts, they're trying to get their lives together, just normal lives, but then you get this guy, okay, who's a pedophile, okay? He likes touching little boys or little girls, okay? Now me, being a person who's been abused and raped, I want to kill him, okay? That's the worst thing you can put in front of my face is someone that's done something to a child. Because in my head, I'm going to snap your neck. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what I want to do to you. But I can't. I have to sit there, and I have to listen, and I have to try to be objective. I have to try to understand. I have to try to have empathy for his position. Empathy. You getting my point? Okay? Or you have a woman that's done something to her kids, or sold her kids, or beat her kids, or left her kids in the house alone for 3 days while she went out and got high. Now you ladies, who think maternally, how is that going to make you feel when you see that? When you get this lady before you and you just want to smack the crap out of her, okay? Because you have kids, or you want to have kids, or your sister has kids, and you think about what she would have done to those kids, how are you going to react to that? How are you going to deal with that objectively? How are you going to be able to sit there and go, yeah, I understand. Yeah, yes. And that's what you got to do. You got to help them figure out. You got to help them figure out avenues. But in the back of your mind, you're going, excuse me, I'm killing this bitch. I'm telling you right now. you know what I'm saying? And then the other piece of it is, what are you going to do when you go home at night? What are you going to do when you go home to your families? What are you going to do when you walk out that office door and it's time to leave it there? That's the big one. Are you going to take it home with you? Are you going to take it home and deal with your family, with those feelings? Are you going to be able to shut it down in the office and walk out the door and go back to your life? Because that's the biggest piece of all this. What you do in that office is what you do in that office. But when you go home, you have a whole nother life you have to deal with. And you have to desensitize yourself from all of that when it's time to make that move at the end of the day. The other piece is, are you going to bring your personal stuff into the office with you? I had a therapist, and believe me, and it's recommended that you guys who are going to work in therapy, that you have a therapist. And that's a very good idea. Because I manage one of the biggest sober living facilities in the state of Rhode Island. We have 6 houses, 2 of them are women's, 4 of them are men's. I manage all the men's houses, okay? And at the end of the day, right, I can't bring my stuff to them people. While they're going through what they're going through, I can't go, if they come sit in my office and go, hey, Archie, man, listen, man, I'm dealing with this. Hold up, let me tell you something. What's your name? Matt. Hey, Archie, man, I'm good. Hey, Matt, man, listen, man, let me tell you what happened to me, Matt. I got this girl, man, she's getting on my nerves, man. You know, and you're supposed to be talking to me. But I'm bringing my personal business into the office with you. I had a therapist that did that. She did that to me for 4 sessions. Talking about her kids and her adopted kids and this one and that one. I was like, hold up. Hold up, we're not going there. And I had to go to her supervisor and actually tell her supervisor, look, you need to be paying me. This chick's in therapy with me. Really? Every session, and she would, you know, it's 45 minutes, okay? She was running over an hour. I'm like, look, man, you know what I'm saying? I started getting a piece of paper and going up there and saying, okay, let's talk. So what's the problem? For real. You know, it's not an easy field, but I'll tell you this. It's probably the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. Because and I'm going to tell you, there's going to be 10, 15, 20, 30 clients that you're dealing with you're never going to see again after two or three sessions. One that you're going to have a problem getting into the office, or every time you turn around, that person's calling in because they can't make it. But you know what? There's going to be that one person. There's going to be that one person that you're going to walk through a situation, that you're going to help through a situation, that's going to come back to you one day. And they're going to say, Matt, you changed my life, dude. Man, thank you for what you did for me. Because without you, I wouldn't have got from point A to point B. And, excuse me, I think about the people that have walked me through my life to where I am today and where I would be had not have been for them. And the amount of gratitude that I have in my life for having those people in my life. You see, because when I was at the brink of everything 3 years ago, I was working, I was drinking every day. I don't know if you guys know what Four Locos are, but you don't want to know. I was drinking, I think they're like 18% by volume. I don't know, it's really, really strong alcohol. Tastes like soda. I was drinking 9 or 10 of those a day. I was driving every day in a blackout. Every day. Going from Wakefield to Providence. Wakefield to Providence 2 or 3 times a day. Just driving, just hanging out, getting bored. I was working drunk every day. My boss would give me money every day to go to the liquor store because I couldn't function at my job without drinking. So he would give me, here, go get your medicine. And when I went to lunch, and after I went to lunch, then I come back and go to work. And he'd give me money at the end of the day. I'll see you tomorrow. And it just got to the point. It just got to the point for me where I didn't want to live anymore. Now I've attempted suicide a couple of times, but it was a bunch of crap. You know, there's a bridge in Miami, the 14th Street Bridge. I jumped off of that, but the water's so deep it couldn't hurt you anyway. And it's warm. Okay. I've taken a bunch of pills, but I never took enough to OD. I just took enough to go to sleep and call 911. It's really stupid stuff, you know. But this time I was serious. And I drove up to Providence, and I sat in the parking lot of a liquor store with a Four Loko on the ground, and I was crying. And all I could think about was my kids and you know, and how 53 years of my life went to freaking waste, man. Just gone. 53 years. You know, I've had cousins die. My cousin killed herself at 21. My other cousin died at the age of 40. I mean, all my cousins they're dropping like flies, and I'm still alive. And I'm asking God, why? Why don't you just take my life? And so I sat in that parking lot and I told God, I said, listen, man, you got 2 choices, man. You either take my life or you fix it. Because I can't do this no more. I can't. And God gave me the strength to make that phone call for me to go to the hospital. And I met some friends that were working in recovery that I've known for a number of years. And they walked me through the process because once I got in the hospital, all I wanted to do was go to sleep. And I just wanted to go to sleep and just get back to my car. Go back to my apartment. Just give me a couple of days of rest. And that was my MO every time. And you're going to meet clients like that too. You want to go to detox? Yeah, I want to get well. They go to detox for 2 or 3 days and they're back out there doing what they're doing. And that's what at this point, that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to, you know what? Okay, I'm good. As soon as I wake up and get over this rest, I can go. And God said no. He put people in my life. He put people in my path. One of my pastors, I'm a pastor. I have my own ministry. And it's developed over the last 3 years. But another pastor who was my mentor, he was my mentor for a while, he said, man, come on, what are you going to do with yourself? And there was a program that I had been to twice. And he said, why don't you come back? He was working there. I said, all right. I said, fine, whatever. So I went there, and I hated it. I knew the owner of the program is the biggest piece of crap you ever met in your life. Money hungry, trying to do whatever he can to get the money, his insurance money, bill for this, bill for that, bill for this, bill for that. And he don't care about it. He don't care about his clients, And he knew I didn't like him, and he didn't like me. But I went and I stayed. And for the first 90 days I was there, all I did was write. I sing, I act, I write poetry. I got a couple of books on Amazon. So this is the thing that I do. So I wrote poem after poem after poem after poem, and I dumped because I didn't know any other way to get some release. Because the counselors there, they never had time for you, and the people there that you're supposed to deal with you, they never had time for you. So I knew in myself that this was something I never wanted to repeat again, so I had to do something. So I picked up a pen, and I got a bunch of them little notebooks, them little ones that you get in the Dollar Tree. Yeah, from them little things that papers rip out all the time. And I started writing. And when I got done, I get another one. And I started writing. And I wrote how I felt about my mother. And I wrote how I felt about my life. And I wrote how I felt about being in prison. And I wrote how I felt about doing drugs. And it was just poem after poem. I think I filled up 6 of those books in 90 days. Because that's all I did every day. And all those feelings, all that stuff that I was dealing with came out of me. Everything came out of me. It just poured out of me over and over and over again with these poems. And when I finally got done, and I started really working the program, because I'm a chef too. I graduated from Johnson & Wales a few years back, but I got a job in the kitchen cooking. So I started cooking and stuff, and that took my mind off of things. And then one thing happened to me. It's called the spiritual awakening. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. A spiritual awakening is when something so profound happens in your life that it changes your way of thinking. It changes your process. It changes how you see things. That aha moment. Y'all know what that is, right? You guys had them yet? No, y'all too young to have aha. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I had that aha moment. I was sitting outside one day, out in the back of the place, and I was smoking a cigarette. And all of a sudden, my body started feeling weird. And I said, you know what? Let me go up here and tell this guy. So I talked to the night manager. I said, you need to call an ambulance. And when I got in the ambulance, I passed out. For 30 days, I was intubated. I was dead. I don't even know what happened. The hospital doesn't know to this day. They can't tell me what it was that I had. They don't know why it happened. I just stopped breathing. And they had to put a tube down my throat, and they had to make me breathe for 30 days. Then for 30 more days after that, I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to function again. I had to learn how to go to the bathroom again, all that stuff. Because for 30 days I was laid up. I had never been laid up like that before. Okay? And I got a reminder. I'm not going to get spiritual with you guys because that's a whole other thing. But something happened to my hip. And it's a constant reminder now of where I came from. Okay? They call it osteoarthritis. I call it a miracle. Because now I can't run like I used to run. I can't do none of the things I used to do. I can't go and hustle the way I used to hustle. I can't fight the way I used to fight. I can't do none of that. I can barely walk half the time. Okay, my girl will tell you, we go to the gym. I mean, you know, sometimes she goes on them Stairmasters and all that crap. Look, man, I'm barely getting around trying. I have to go do dips and push-ups and get on the machines and stuff like that. You know, I'm on all kind of medications because half the time when I wake up, I can't get out of bed right. But that moment was my awakening. And it was my higher power or my God letting me know that the ride is over. So now you got to do some things differently. That was in my first year of recovery. For the last 2 years of my life, I've decided to start giving back. I got my ordination as a minister. I'm getting my certification in June. Well, I'm going to be done by then. My case management certification. Then I'm going on to get my LCSW and, you know, going further, what I got to do from there. But my thing is helping people. Helping people. If you guys came into this field for any other reason than that, you're here for the wrong reason. This is a thankless job. There's no glory in it. There's no moments of grandeur. There's none of that. You know? But at the end of the day, there's peace of mind that you help change somebody's life. There's the fact that you're doing something, making a difference in this society, in your communities. That's what this job is all about. And that's all it's all about. Can you advancements? Yeah, there's a lot of room for advancements and doing things. And, you know, hopefully you guys will make it there. And get your education, further your education, go on and get your doctorates or whatever the case may be. And become, you know, administrators and stuff like that and be able to change policy and, you know, the, what do they call it? DM, what do they call it? The DSM. Maybe you'll be making the DSM-8 someday. You know? Because it's going to change. You know, it's changed. They just went to what, DSM-4 now? DSM-5? Yeah, DSM-5. You know, and they're recognizing all kind of other crazy stuff as addictions and mental health issues. So I'm pretty sure by the time you guys are up there in your 30s and 40s, you'll have the DSM-9 or something, DSM-9D or you know, but whatever it is, you know, and you guys will be a part of that. But I just, you know, I want you to know that this is a really cool field to be in. But, you know, at the same time, don't have too many expectations about, like, you know, just grandiose expectations. You know, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to conquer the world. Gosh darn it, it's going to be great. Because it just is what it is. Okay, it's not. This isn't a. I'm going to answer your questions, but I'm going to close with something real quick that I wrote for you guys. Yeah, excuse me, I don't have my glasses. This is called The Therapist. And it says, my days are like blurs, shadowed with faces, shadows without faces, bits and pieces of feelings that take up spaces. No matter how hard I try, I can't seem to relate. I can't seem to understand what makes her that type of woman or him that type of man. Mental health issues, emotional pain, rage, hate, misunderstood youth, diagnosis, hopeless, and I'm supposed to explain, examine, differentiate, medicate, officiate, help find direction to pains it took years to create, turn common criminals into Christians, redirect crackheads and heroin addicts on missions, help heal alcoholics who are built on cravings, try to convince a woman with 9 children that she doesn't need another baby, then go home to my kids, my husband or wife, and leave the pain at the door and pick up the pieces of my life. Pretend I didn't hear what I did. This is the path I've chosen. This is the life I've chosen to live. So I know I must always remember compassion is the key. Understanding is a lesson. The job that I do isn't a career, it's a blessing. A reminder that sits in a chair, a shadow with no face, that could easily be me, that sits in this place, the therapist. You know, I wanted you guys to hear something that maybe you could relate to that would take you there. You know, it's because, you know, it's like there's a song that we sing in my church that says it's not about us, it's about Jesus. And I always have to remember that when I put my clinical hat on. I have to remember it's not about me. It's about the client. It's not about me, it's about what the client's going through. It's not about me empathizing or agreeing or disagreeing or liking or not liking. It's not. It's about me trying to help that client find his own solutions. Not suggesting them, but helping him or her find their own solutions. And that's what it is. Sometimes it's being an ear when a person's crying and they're going through pain. Sometimes it's giving them a piece of paper that you might find, like my therapist does with me. Sometimes she'll find something, she'll go, hey, Archie, I just want you to read this. Check this out. It's really cool. And, you know, it opens up my eyes, you know. So when you guys do what you do, just please remember that, you know, when you come in, you got to put you on the back burner. But when you leave, you got to put them on the back burner. Because that's what it's all about. Okay? Let me get to your questions. That's a good question. When feeling the urge or craving to use the drug and faced with it, what thoughts or feelings come into mind? Any suicidal ideations or thoughts? All the time. You know, I was sitting with a guy, one of my clients in my house, and he's moving to Florida pretty soon. And I was talking to him and I said, man, I'm always here for you. Don't ever forget, I'm always here for you. You know, oh no, Archie, you know, I got it. Yeah, I swear, if there's a beer here and a gun there, I'm gonna pick the gun. I was like, yeah, okay, save that for somebody. But the thing is that I'm always gonna feel that. You know, I feel it less and less every day, but it's there. You know, I don't have any, I don't play with this thing. Because the minute I start playing with it, it's a wrap. Bottom line is, it's always going to be there because I did it. And it's, you know, I don't blame nobody. I can't look at nobody. I can't say it's my mom's fault, you know, for all the stuff she did. I can't say it's my dad's fault or the system's fault or this one's fault. It's my fault. Nobody ever went to me and dragged me by the back of my neck and took me to the liquor store and said, you grab that now. Get it right now and you drink it. Nobody ever took a crack pipe and forced it in my mouth and made me suck on it while they were lighting the crack up. I did it. So now I have to deal with the fact that this is always going to be in the back of my mind. It is what it is, but as long as I know and I'm aware of it, I can deal with it. Because when those moments happen, then I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? My girl was talking about some things that happened with her. I'm not going to get into that. That's her personal stuff. But it had to do with that. And she dealt with it. You know, the other night I had a drug dream. That I had a dream. I was talking to Gina about it, that I had a dream that I drank and I was in the house and I was like trying to figure out how not to. I said, man, they're going to urine me. There's a little thing called an ETG stick that you put in the urine and it can detect alcohol up to 80 hours prior. And I'm like, they're going to ETG me. Man, what am I going to do, man? I'm wrestling with this thing and I woke up in the middle of the night and I swear to God, I thought it happened. This is like 4 nights ago. I thought it happened. I'm going, oh my God, man. And I had to actually talk myself into like, look, stupid, you just got out of bed. You know, but I've had dreams like that. So yeah, it happens. You know, sometimes the suicidal thoughts come. I mean, it's just, you know, unfortunately, it's a part of being who I am as an addict and an alcoholic and having the issues that I have. What started you? What started your drug use? What triggered any relapses if they occurred? How did you continue to forge your addiction? You've heard of gateway drugs. Well, I started smoking weed. Hash first. Then I started smoking weed. Then I went to a party when I was 13 years old. And I had my first, I had my first beer when I was 6, but when I was 13, I knew what a beer was. So I started drinking. I went to a party, drank, got drunk, went and got some Taco Bell, threw up in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard and said, all right, this is cool. I want to do this again. And that was it. I was running. So what triggered relapses? Everything. Everything. Mm-hmm. I relapsed because I was mad. I relapsed because I was happy. I relapsed because I got a job. I relapsed for every reason I could think of. I was about to sign a $250,000 contract with Atlantic Records one year. And my lawyer told me, he said, look, man, he said, just don't get high. You got this. We got the check. We're going to get the check. Just meet me at Atlantic Records. We got the check. Nah. I went and bought me a big old piece of crack. Went down the parking garage. Smoked it. When I went up in the office, I was geeked out of my mind. And the guy said, nah, you got to get him out of here. But these are the things that trigger my relapse. Anything. Happy moments, sad moments, angry moments, you know. I afforded my habit because I was a jack artist. That's what I did. I jacked drug dealers. I wasn't the type of person, I didn't have it in me to hurt a normal person. Like if you got a job, you know, example, one night about 3 in the morning, me and my friend were walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and there's this bank that has this big old vault that you have to do the combination, you put the drop in there. And my friend robbed her, and we were running down the street, and she started crying. I heard her crying. And she said, I'm gonna lose my job. And she was tripping. So I went and ran around the corner. My boy was like, we came up. We said, give me the bag. What are you doing? I said, give me the bag. You don't give me the bag, I'm gonna break your, expletive. And I took the bag back to the lady. I told her, I said, now I know you make this drop every night, so please don't call the cops because I will come after you. And I gave her back the bag. And I knew right then I couldn't rob people that were like working every day. So what I started doing was I started jacking drug dealers. And that's how I got a lot of the charges that I got, which are very violent charges. And that's why I did a lot of the time I did. So that's how I afforded my addiction. How easy, someone help me out here, who wrote this? How easy did you feel about life when you were on drugs? In what areas of life did you feel difficult to deal? Oh, shit, everything. Everything was difficult. I mean, it was a problem. You know, and any addict or alcoholics, it's funny, you guys are giving questions. A lot of this stuff came up recently. This guy came to me, another pastor who's a friend of mine. He's one of the guys in my house. And he came to me and he said, can I speak to you for a minute? And I said, yeah. And he said, man, I'm jacked up, man. I said, what's wrong? He said, nothing. Absolutely nothing. He said, but I feel jacked up. Something's wrong, man. Something's messed up, man. I said, what's wrong? What is the issue? There is no issue. Work's going fine. You got money in your pocket. You got a bank account. All your issues are taken care of. He said, yeah. I said, that's what your problem is. Addicts live in chaos. We don't know any other way to live. There's got to be drama in our lives. Any kind of drama. Girl drama, guy drama, work drama, house drama, baby mom drama, whatever it is. There's got to be some kind of drama. And when there is no drama, something's wrong. So, I mean, I hope that answers that question, but the bottom line is it's hard for us to deal with normalcy. It's hard for me to go home at night. Like when I go to my house, right? When I go to the house, I live in one of the houses that I run. And I go to the house. If there's not, oh my God, he took my candy. Or, something stupid going on. Or this guy doesn't like that guy. Or, his tomato paste is gone. Something, if there's not any of that, something's wrong for me. So if there's something going on, man, if I can go into my house and just go into my room and turn on my TV and just chill, something ain't right. I'm wondering if they're all looking at me, if they're waiting for me, if they're gonna come in the room and jump me or something. You know, I'm telling you, there's got to be drama. When I get that kind of peace, it's like, thank you, Jesus. So yeah, that's what that is. How many times did you relapse? Oh my God! How many hairs do you have on your head? Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. You know, I don't believe relapse is a part of recovery. No. And that was the other question. I believe someone can get sober once and stay sober. I think that relapse is a part of most people's recovery because 9 times out of 10 you're not going to get it the first time around. Depending on what it is. I mean, you could have a severe situation. Your mom died. You know, something like really catastrophic happening in your life, and you're like, man, look, I'm done. I can't. That's it. So in that case, yeah. But I can guarantee you, out of a couple of thousand people that I know, I think everybody's been more than once. They've relapsed more than once. I have a kid in my house right now that hasn't. So let's see how he acts. Rock bottom. Rock bottom. I can go over and over again with that one. I have a lot of rock bottom experiences. Fortunately, I never listened to any of them. I was telling my girlfriend, she was asking me, she said, what's those things on the back of your head? We just started dating, so she doesn't know all that yet. But she was asking me, she said, what's those things on your head? And I said, they're holes. She said, well, why do you have holes in your head? I said, for traction. When I was living in San Francisco, I started selling crystal meth. And crystal meth is basically a white man's drug. Not a lot of black people are dealing with crystal meth. Never happened. And a lot of people that cook crystal meth are bikers and skinheads. So those were my suppliers. And they weren't too happy that I was making so much money. And I was making a lot of money. And so they decided to stop me from what I was doing. And they beat me up and threw me out of a 3-story window, and I landed right here on my head. And the only thing that stopped me from dying was that I was so drunk that my body was like a cushion when it fell. And they had beat me to a pulp, so I was unconscious, so my body just went, and I ended up in the hospital. So that was one moment. Another one was that I had a gun misfire at my head. Another one was, I could go on and on. I could think of a bunch of them, but none of them were good. So, you know, the biggest one was when and again, like I said, I don't like to mix recovery with spirituality, but the biggest one was when I was sitting in that parking lot that I told you about, and I finally told God, either you take my life or you fix it. So that wasn't a rock bottom. And it's funny because all my other moments were crazy. You know, I had one moment when I was downtown Los Angeles on Skid Row, and all the shelters were closed, and it was pouring down rain. And I used to be a carny. I was a carny for about 2 years. And I got fired because I beat a dude up. And so it was pouring down rain. I had nowhere to go. And I went to a construction site, and they had them big cat cranes, and it was pouring. So I had to get up under the crane in the rain. They had plastic around it. And I had to get some plastic and put it on the ground because it was just a mud puddle right there. And I had to take another piece of plastic and wrap myself in and try to keep myself warm and stop myself from getting wet. And that was another moment, But out of all those crazy moments that I had, nothing was like that day in the parking lot when I was sitting there on my birthday, March 30th, 2016. And I said, you know what? I'm done. That was the moment that clarified who I am today. So it doesn't matter how bad the moment is, it's a matter of what you do with it. How did you start to become aware of your substance use was an issue? The day I started using, Uh, it was fun. I knew something was wrong when I started smoking crack. You know, when I was in my 20s and I was doing meth and stuff like that, I thought I was just partying. It was just cool. You know, I was all right. Man, I got plenty of time. I'm 21, 22 years old. I can get high, do this and do that. I'm Superman, you know? No. And it led to what it led to. When I got out of prison, when I was 35, after doing 12 years, I got out. You know, and I'm going to tell you something. This was the thing. I did 12 years in prison. And at the end of at the last 5 years, I became a vegetarian. I quit smoking cigarettes. I was really into my body and working out and doing things like that. And I promised myself, when I get out, man, I'm gonna be nice. And you know, when I got out of prison, I weighed 235 pounds. I had probably about 20% body fat. I was benching 450 pounds. I was a brick house. I had no neck. You know, I had 54 inch chest. I was huge. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, and you know, I said, oh man, I got this. I'm good. I did 12 years, but I'm okay. I'm okay now. I'm gonna be all right because I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't eat meat. You know, I'm gonna be okay. This is cool. And when the bus dropped me off in Reno, Nevada to go back to California, because I was up there in the northern part of California, dropped us off. Right across the street was a liquor store. The first thing I did was walk across the street to the liquor store, bought a pack of cigarettes and a 40-ounce of beer. And that was it. Whew, gone. So you see what I'm saying about, and it doesn't, anything, there wasn't nothing to trigger. I picked up right where I left off. Like it was nothing. And I did it unconsciously because that's what I was used to doing. So, you know, it's like, it's crazy. What, love, what have you done that you are most ashamed of when you were using? Almost killed 2 people. And I have nightmares about it almost every week. It does. And it's the most shameful thing I've ever done. Because nobody deserves to take anybody else's life for any reason. And I did it behind a drug. And I didn't care. I walked away like it was nothing. I'll never pick up a gun again. I'll never pick up a knife again because of it. I'd rather die. Because taking another man's life or another woman's life for any reason, I don't care what they've done, is not my job. So. Who wrote this question?
Why are you looking at me?
What's the best thing about using and why do people like it?
Oh boy.
There is no best thing about using. Why do people like it? Because it helps them escape. Bottom line. Mm-hmm. I don't want to feel. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to exist. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to deal with my kids. I don't want to deal with my children. I don't want to deal with my job. I don't want to deal with having to go down to this AFDC office because then I'm going to have to see my social worker is going to give me a hard time and then I want to smack this chick. I don't want to deal with that. Okay? I don't want to deal with my kids when they come home from school. So, you know what I'm saying? There's that's why we do it. Because we don't want to deal, and it's not that we don't want to deal with those things. We don't want to deal with this. We don't want to deal with this. We don't want to deal with what's going on inside of us. Because that's the biggest problem for an addict or an alcoholic. Or even someone with mental health issues. Same thing. We don't want to face the fact that we got issues. You got cats, man, for a long time, people told me, Brian, you need meds. Like, man, you out your mind, man. I ain't crazy. Yes, you are. And then I finally had to look at myself in the mirror. And this is, you know, when I was in recovery the first year, I was sitting in the bathroom one day and I was shaving. And I looked at myself in the eyes. And I realized that I hadn't looked myself in the eyes for almost 20 years. 20 years. And you ask, how you do that? You don't have to look at, when I'm sitting in this, I'm looking at my head, shaving my head, looking at my face, shaving my face, you know, looking at whatever on my body that I'm looking at when you get out the shower and you grooming yourself and doing all that stuff that we do. I never looked myself in the eyes. 20 years. And then I finally looked myself in the eyes. And for a moment, I was ashamed at what I was looking at. But then I realized that I don't have to be ashamed anymore. Because who I was is gone. It's gone. It's not me no more. Who I am every day when I wake up is me. The person that I am. The man that can be in love with my girl and treat her with respect and treat her with dignity. The man that can be there to help people when they come and knock on my door and say, Archie, can you help me? The man that can get up every day and be responsible and go to my job and do my job and do the things I'm supposed to do. The man that can pay his child support and be a part of his kid's life. That's who I am. And I can look at myself in the mirror now and I can see that person and I can be proud of that person. But it took 20 years for me to find that person. So there's really nothing good about using it, if you look at it. Some people might think it's fun, but you know. How did your use hurt your job and careers? Because my job and careers were non-existent. I have a lot of degrees in a lot of areas. I got my certification as a drug and alcohol counselor through Westfield State College. I started working as a drug and alcohol counselor. I got my associate's degree in English, composition, and literature. I got my associate's degree as a chef at Johnson & Wales. I got my business degree from the Rhode Island School of Business. I got little certifications from Job Corps and so on and so forth. I've got some online certifications. I've got my ministry certification. Now I'm working on this certification. And I've never done anything with any of them, except for my degree from Westfield State College. And I started working for the Salvation Army. But I was always too inebriated. You know? Shoot, man, half the time when I was going to school, I was drunk. I went to Johnson & Wales, and when I was going to Johnson & Wales, every time I walked into a classroom, man, people were looking at me like I was crazy. What you looking at? I don't know how I passed with honors. Don't know how. But, you know, but I did it. But the bottom line is I never really did anything with it. And one of the things the reason I don't really chef it up now because I want to be in this field. And the other reason is because everybody, when you go into the back of the house in the kitchen, and I don't know how many of you have worked as waiters and waitresses, but if you know about the back of the house in the kitchen, people are snorting cocaine, people are drinking, people are doing all kinds of things out in the back, smoking weed, you know, so that's just not an area I want to be in. So, was I involved in any criminal behavior? No, I mean, I'm not a criminal. I'm an ex-blood. I spent 35 years of my life in a gang. I'll just leave it at that. I was a big-time criminal. You guys have heard enough of that. So, when you were craving to use drugs, or were you seeking drugs? Was there a specific trigger as to why you needed them? Yeah, because I wanted more. Bottom line. There's only one kind of drug there. There's only one drug that there is in anything. More. I don't care what it is. Give me more. If you guys got heroin, let me have some of that. If you guys got crack, let me have some of that. If you guys got PCP, let me have some of that. When you run out, I want more. That's it. That's the way that's the way the life drug. That's the life. It sucks, and that's the way it is. What made me quit using? Well, I just got through explaining that. It was, I had that awakening when I was sitting in that parking lot, and then after that, when I went to the hospital, God let me know, you're done. You wanted me to show you that I want you to stay sober. So guess what? I'm gonna put you on your deathbed. We'll deal with it from there. How did your support system change during treatment? Do you have any? Do I have to cut any ties? Oh yeah. Was I successful? Yes. I don't deal with any of the people I used to deal with, except to feed them food. I feed the homeless. One of my ministry deals directly with the homeless. The counseling that I do, even though it's separated from the house, deals with the homeless. I'm getting ready to open up a building. Gina and I and our specific ministry is going to be getting resources, helping people homeless, minister to the homeless. That's what I do because I've been there and that's my thing. I want to be there for people and show them that no matter what, you can do this. And I don't care how many times you have to try, because that one moment's going to come where you're going to be all right. So that's what I do. And I had to, I took on my pastor, Pastor Mark. Hey, Pastor Mark. I took on my pastor, Pastor Mark. I had Pastor Herman Jason Falu. My other pastor from Attleboro, Pastor Dave is my mentor. And I dove into my recovery on a spiritual level. And that's what I do. You know, my girl will tell you, if you talk to her after this is all over, she will tell you, I breathe, eat, poop, and everything else God. That's my life today. That's my life, and that's what I do. You know, when I get up in the morning till I go to bed at night, I'm doing ministry work, and that's what it is for me. You know, and some people say, "Well, you're hiding behind Jesus." Well, you call it what you want to, but I've been clean for 3 years because of it, and I don't play with it. I don't play with it. If you come to me talking about something else, I'll tell you. I got my homeboys that come up to me. I got people, and you know it's funny because this path that I'm on, people try to antagonize you. People try to take you out of your character. They try to take you out of your character. They try to make me. They want to see that other side of me. And there's been situations that, you know, I had to put the brakes on things and stop myself from snatching somebody by the neck and doing what I usually do. But it's because of the fact that I have what I have in my life and I have who I have in my life and I am the man that I am today, that there's no turning back to that person that I was. But it does creep up. I'm going to tell you. You will get tested. You know, even in your field, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have somebody that's going to piss you off, boy. You know? But you have to keep your calm. You have to keep cool, keep calm. You know? Or call the cops. I'm telling you, you might have to do that too. Best advice for younger individuals trying to get sober. Don't start. Don't start. If you ain't doing it now, don't do it. You ain't missing nothing. You ain't missing nothing. I've been doing this for 40 years, man. 40 years. Okay? I started when I was 13, hitting it hard, and I stopped when I was 53. You're not missing one. There's nothing in a drug or a drink that's gonna, you know, that's gonna heal anything. You know, everything you need